Hello, this is Dr. Young, and I'm going to go over your week 1 assignments and some of the things that I want you to know for your class. Excuse me, hold on. Basically, I want to go over some of the things in the course that I want you to kind of focus on. The first thing you do every time you start a course is you go to this left menu and you make sure that you understand all the information in these links. Especially the South University policies and guidelines, where you will find your APA resources, your lessons, your rubrics, grading, attendance requirements, Turnitin information. As you probably already know, everything in this course is automatically submitted through Turnitin. So, we're going to get to that later. But make sure you understand everything in this because you're responsible for it. One thing I want to point out here is the late work guidelines. I accept late work according to this policy. And the penalties for a day is 10%. I do take the maximum because honestly I think that this is a very, it's flexible. You should be able to submit your work on time. But unless you have some kind of documentation, I do apply late penalties fairly to everyone that submits work late, and I absolutely will not take work after 7 days. So make sure you're familiar with this policy, because if you submit something, even if it's like the last week, I'm not going to take it. After 7 days, I will not take it. I will only waive late penalties for documented excuses, and documentation means some kind of documentation that you can send to me. Otherwise, I don't waive late penalties. And I mean, it's not going to be something like I worked late or I didn't have time. It's got to be something more substantial than that. I didn't have internet. You always need to have a plan B. A library, a friend, someone's computer. Tech issues are not going to be, or will not suffice for late work. You'll just have to take the penalty. Otherwise, just make sure you know what's going on that board, and you understand that we do require APA format in this class, not MLA. And so we will be using that. Basically, I'm going to go over week 1. Just kind of go over the stuff in the announcement board. It really has a lot of information. It gives you an example of a discussion post that's very detailed. It talks about strategies to make A's in this course. There's a lot of stuff on here. Make sure that you have time to go through each and every one of these announcements. And always you can, I'm not on call, but I'm close. You could probably, I'll probably get back with you within a few hours, if at most. But the easiest way to get to me is texting me, honestly, because I'm on the run a lot. I do check my email once a day, and I will respond to you. But if you're wanting to get an answer, you need to text me your name, what class you're in, and a specific question, because I'm not going to be right in front of my computer. But I mean, if you are, if I'm out and running around doing something else, then if you text me and it's specific, I could probably just immediately answer you. So that's kind of, I just want to throw that out there. But there are other ways to reach me, and they're all listed in the virtual office information on the announcement board. So we're going to talk about week 1, and obviously you're going to submit your bio for week 1, discussion 1, which you do probably at every class, so I don't have to go over that very much. But your week 1 discussion, excuse me, is a little bit different. You're going to describe errors to avoid in a business letter, excuse me, and you're going to use the library. Excuse me, I am so sorry, but I'm hoarse and my voice is a little scratchy, so I apologize. I don't want to be hard to understand. But you're going to I would go to the South University Online Library and look for information on writing business letters, business memos, business communications, use those keywords, and do some research and answer these 4 bullets in your discussion post. One thing about your discussion post, I've already posted your rubric here. I'm going to do that every week probably, just so it's right there. I mean, you know it's right here, but so you have to click on it and open it. Well, here it is, in case it's easier to see. And I even highlighted the highest requirements for this, for your discussion post, so that you can kind of, see, use this as a checklist. When you're writing your discussion post, use this as a checklist. Make sure you're meeting all of the criteria here. There's a lot, if you look at a discussion post that has like emerging versus exemplary is a lot more work. And I do know there's a lot of work to answer these questions. It's worth 80 points. But make sure that you're following that. And that's really all there is for the discussion. Again, I'll be doing this every week, just posting that, just to kind of give you an idea. It's just easier for me to. I think it's easier to see that way, and you don't have to click into something to open it. Your Dropbox assignments. You're writing a complaint letter. This is a great little exercise because you're playing a unhappy customer. And you have to complain to this organization because they misled you and you feel like you can't get your money back. So you need to try to do that now. Again, for the first discussion, you probably did some research on writing an effective, you will have done research on writing an effective business communication. For this, you can use some of the practices and things you've learned from that assignment and kind of take it a step further and write this. And you're writing a letter, a complaint letter. It's a formal business communication, but it is, based on a customer complaint. So you want to make sure you have an opening, a closing, nothing too generic, something, original, all the parts of a business letter, and you should have researched that for your discussion question, and positively phrased. You're not going to go and rip into this part, this company and say, just and using, not obviously not foul language, but, antagonistic, attacking language. You don't want to do that. You want to be professional and positive. And see, you want to make sure that you communicate clearly and effectively. It's okay to be assertive, but not rude. You want to the challenge of this assignment is the balance of that. So, and then, you're going to just write it, and it says citing these. You're going to use sources because you did the research, so you're going to use the APA format. So basically, you're writing the letter, and that's kind of hard to figure out because you're thinking, well, I'm writing a memo. How do I cite it? As you're writing your letter, if you've used any of the strategies, like if you've done research and it has some suggestions, okay, well, if you're communicating this, maybe you want to try to do it, and it maybe suggest ways to do it. You're using that. You're using the source as a guide to write this letter. Wherever you're doing that in this memo or paper, cite that. And then, the last page is your reference page. So it's kind of like you're doing research to learn how to write a paper. And you can apply what you've learned, whatever concepts you research, whatever suggestions or strategies that you find. When you're using those strategies, cite it there so I can see, oh, well, they're going to use what they learned from this source right here in this portion of the memo or the letter. So that's what you're doing there. I hope that helps you think through this assignment. Again, it's kind of, and this one doesn't have, if you look here, it doesn't have an expanded rubric. So we're just going to use this because it doesn't have one. It's basically, I'm going to be looking at what are the parts of a business letter, and I'm going to give you the points for that. And then demonstrate originality in the opening and closing of the business letter. Obviously, this is going to go through Turnitin, so I'm looking for originality. I don't want you to go online and copy something. I don't want you to copy an intro. I don't want you to copy a conclusion. It's one thing to research and see examples and then kind of combine in your mind and come up with your own original, and it's something to just copy and paste and then stick it in your paper. wherever you see something like that online. I don't want you to do that. I mean, positive phrasing, I'm looking for that. Pretty much the 3 bullets. It's not very much. It's pretty much regurgitating what I just described up here. Spelling, grammar, professional vocabulary, obviously. And all of that, when you research a business letter, you'll see that those are the strategies, they're going to tell you, well, you need to use this kind of tone. You want to be professional. You want to avoid slang. You don't want to abbreviate too much or use shortened versions of words, things like that. So anyway, that is what I'm going to be, when I grade your memo, I'm going to have this in an Excel sheet with calculations and additional comments, kind of stating which parts I felt, like if, for example, for this one, it's going to say, included all essential parts of a business letter. I'm going to say, okay, well, you included this introduction, or you included this closing, but not, whatever other parts there are. So that's what I'm looking for. Again, this is kind of, you have some leeway on creativity here. So just, just kind of try to fall within the parameters of what are the basic parts of a business letter. And then, try to think about how you want to, what is the best way, what kind of tone do you need to set or use here to maximize the potential of getting what you want out of this organization. So, and I can even think about it like this. You're coming up with a complaint letter. You want to make sure that you're very thorough in your explanation of why you feel the way you do and why you deserve such and such, whatever that is, whatever compensation you're looking for. Put up a good argument for it. Be convincing, persuasive. That's about it. So those are for week 1. And if you have any questions or concerns, let me know. I'm happy to assist you. I'm always, I try to be really responsive. Like if there's a question, like I said, I answer emails once a day, and usually, honestly, it's at nighttime. During the day, I'm usually pretty busy, running around doing things, but texting is a great way. Calling me, obviously, is a great. If you call, leave a message, who you are and what class, too, in case I don't answer immediately. Because most of the time, I'm not going to answer right away. I'm going to be expecting a message. So don't call and not leave a message and then say I haven't been able to be reached, because you've got to leave a message or text me with a message. And I know that might seem a little common sense, but I've had students get upset with me because they said they couldn't reach me if they weren't leaving me messages. So if I don't know you've called, I cannot remember or memorize phone numbers. So I'm not going to be able to identify you that way. So just make sure to leave a message if you would rather call, or you can text or email. And I look forward to hearing from you in class. This is a pretty interesting class. I think it's very useful in the business world, and whatever you're doing, whatever your goals are, it doesn't matter what industry you're working in. Being able to communicate effectively is very important. So again, any questions or concerns, let me know, and let's have a great first week.